let's move on to module 3 called the Unlocking the 8 Trigrams, the DNA of 悬空大卦. Okay, so in this module 3, we are going to something very fundamental, the 8 trigrams and the 64 hexagrams. And I'm not requiring you to know all the 64 hexagrams because there's no need to. Okay, so if you want to use 悬空大卦 properly for this lesson, this part, module 3, cannot skip. This is your foundation. Most of you here already got some metaphysical background, right? So I'm not going to repeat the whole origin story of the 8 trigram. No need to go back to the Fu Si and all that. But I want you to look carefully at this DNA yin and yang of the 8 trigram. So very simple. If you look from the bottom up, the first yao will tell you something. What I mean by first yao tell you something, look at this part here, the 8 trigram. Okay, the first yao, the bottom yao, will already tell you everything already. Now, what does it mean? If the bottom line is broken, that means it's yin. Okay, so if the bottom line is yang, that means there's a yang line. Huh? So that's why we say yin line will start from the yin part here. Okay, the yang one will start from the yang part here. And that is the DNA coding inside each trigram. So I want you to remember this one, the bottom line. The bottom line of the trigram. It will tell you whether it is a yin or it is a yang. So this is the DNA coding inside the trigram. So once you understand this coding, later when we go into the hexagram, you find it very easy. The next step, the 64 hexagrams. So every hexagram is formed by one upper trigram, one lower trigram. And because there are 8 trigrams altogether, so you go through all the possible permutation, there will be 64 of them, called the 64 hexagram. Okay, so then again, if it's formed as a hexagram, 6 line, then how can we tell whether the hexagram is a yin or a yang? Right? Very easy. Now, look at these 2 hexagram. Just look at the upper trigram. Just look at the upper trigram. Okay, upper trigram, and go for the bottom line of the upper trigram. I repeat, look out for the upper trigram and then zoom in to the bottom line of the upper trigram. Not lower trigram. Don't confuse, upper. So same principle. Upper trigram, the bottom line start with a yin line. The whole hexagram is a yin hexagram. Okay, so same for the left side. If the bottom line of the upper trigram is yang line, then the entire hexagram is a yang hexagram. Basically, that's it. Okay, so this is very consistent with the Bagua system. So once your eyes can recognize the first yao of the upper trigram, you straight away know the nature of the DNA of this hexagram. Okay, yin or yang. Very fast. Unlike some other master will teach you, I don't know how they tell you lah. I also don't know. Okay, but anyway, I give you the shortcut. Now, why does it matter whether you need to know yin yang or not yin yang? Because in a good date selection, we want the date to be a combination of yin and yang pillars. Remember, there are 4 pillars. We don't want all 4 pillars to be yang. We don't want all 4 pillars to be yin. We actually prefer to have a mixture of yin and yang pillars. So how to tell yin yang pillars? There you go. That's what I show you just now. Right? Okay. So today's lesson is not just theory, it's a tools for you. After this, you all will be able to see the structure behind each hexagram and why certain dates can activate and sometimes others cannot. All right. Now I show you how a typical 悬空大卦 date selection chart looks like. Now this is a captured screenshot from the apps that I've shown you just now. So these are the screenshot. So basically, when you first see it, a lot of hexagram showing up, right? In this row here, right? Doesn't matter because these are the hexagram of the 4 pillars. Okay, so it's very systematic. Once you take a deeper look, you understand everything else. So first of all, you see that there are 4 main hexagram here. The one in the box, in the red box. Okay, so you have the year pillar, month pillar, day pillar, and the hour pillar, and all these things actually belonging to this date on top here. This date, this time, this date and time. So automatically the apps will show you what are the hexagram, corresponding hexagram for the year, month, day, and hour. Okay. Of course, there's a system to remember, but no, what's the point, right? I mean, if the app to show you, might as well use the app, right? Then for each hexagram, we always look at 2 key things. One is the row above the hexagram called the element number. So element number, if you look closely, if you can see from where you are, you can see that there's a 四金. 四金 means 4 metal, and then followed by 4 metal, then 7 fire, then 7 fire. That's called element number. 五行, okay, 五行 element the 行, right? And then the lower row, the row below the hexagram is called the period number. Period number. That's like the flying star, period 1, period 2, period. Now we are in period 9. So this is the period number, the period. Yun, Chinese called yun. Okay, so you have something like the 6 white, 1 white, 4 green, 3 green, or something like that. Okay, so what we want later on, we just concentrating not really on the hexagram per se, but on the element number and the period number. But like I said earlier, period number to me, based on what my practice is, if you can get the period number right, it is a bonus. It is a bonus. A lot of time, yeah, I don't really insist that I must get the period number there. Okay, if there is, then it's a bonus. If not, then I'll just focus on the element number. Okay, so when you read a date, you're basically reading 4 sets of element number and 4 sets of period number. You see here, these 4 pillars is actually the 4 pillars referring to this date, right? So this is the date itself. Now, you find that 2 more columns on the right side of the 4 pillars. One is called the sun, one is called the ren. Okay, one is called the sun, one is called the ren. So, sun basically means referring to the property. Okay, property. And the ren refers to the man. Okay, that means the human. And this 乙巳 basically means the year pillar, the birth year pillar. Okay, the birth year pillar of the man. So let me repeat this part here. So you find that there are extra 2 columns on the right side of the date. This is one is the sun, is called the property sitting direction. Sitting direction. Okay, sitting direction. And then the extreme right one is called the ren. Ren is called the man's birth year of birth. Okay, so now you have the tian is this one here, tian. And then you have the T is the sun, and then the Ren here. So these 3 parts form the Tian, Di, Ren Trinity. So that makes this 玄空大卦, this selection, so damn powerful. So when these 3 match, that's where you get a truly powerful date. Now with this, now we are going into one of the most important foundation of 玄空大卦, called the 玄空五行. 玄空五行 basically means is the element number. Element number. Okay, element number basically means the upper row. You see the arrow here? The upper row. Okay, so basically means this one. If this San Feng Gu, right? The element number is 6 water. Something like that. Okay, Zhe San Xian, the element number is 4 metal. Okay, Zhe Tian Guai, the element number is 4 metal, so on, so forth. So we are referring, when we talk about the Wu Xing, or element number, we are referring to the upper row. Don't mess up between element number and period number. Okay. Not to worry. This may sound very cheap to you, but once you see the logic behind it, very, very easy. So every hexagram inside the 悬空大卦 has what we call an element number, which I've already introduced to you, the upper row. The element number is like the character or the nature of the hexagram. Okay. It comes from the upper trigram and tells us which of the 5 elements, means wood, fire, earth, metal, water, this hexagram belongs to. So for example, 三风谷, the 5 element of 三风谷 is 6 water. Now, why do I use 6 water, 4 metal, 7 fire? What has this number got to do with that selection? It has a lot to do. It has a lot to do. That's why I have to, unlike feng shui, unlike prediction, whereby I don't read the number out, but for 悬空大卦 this selection, I have to read the number out because later on we're going to make use of the number to help us find very good dates. Okay, so when we talk about element number, period number, remember is always number plus the 五行. Can Okay, so what do you call that? So if the element clash, for example, if the element clash, let's say there's a clashing, or wherever clashing with the property or clashing with the person, then we may want to avoid that kind of date. Now, how to determine the clash and what kind of clash is acceptable, what kind of clash is not acceptable? Hear me out. So don't rush. Okay, don't rush. Step by step. Okay, so now where do we get this 五行 from? Where do get this number from? Okay, it comes from a classical combination. And I'm sure you already know. If I'm going to show you the next slide, you say, oh, I know this chart here. I've been knowing all these things for so many years. Okay. And now finally I know what it means. Something like that. Okay. So it comes from a classical combination called the earlier heaven 8 trigram plus the Luo Su square. What do I mean? The element number, remember just now I talked about the number plus the 5 element. Okay, so the element number comes from combining these two charts, the Luo Su and the 先天八卦. Okay, so for example, 乾卦, right? 乾卦 is 9. It just correspond to the same position. 9. So it's 9 metal. Okay, 9 metal. Or 4 对卦, 4 metal. Or 3 fire. Something like that. Okay. Can Okay. So basically, when you plus this together, you have this element number chart. Okay. Next, one more important. You'll notice there's no number 5. Okay. There's no number 5 because in the Luo Su, 5 got no trigram to match with. So in 悬空大卦, we just take it as number 5 doesn't exist. Remember this, If some other apps that you paid and download and there is a 5 something, then you know that apps you can throw away. So the process is like this. Identify the upper trigram. So for example here, upper trigram, 水天虚, identify the upper trigram, which is Kan. And then you go to this table here, Kans. Okay. And then you know it's 7. Okay, 7. All right. So you know the number is 7. But 7, why is it fire? Okay, why is it fire? So I will just bear this in mind. Now I'm explaining how you derive 7. Okay, later on I will teach you how to derive the fire. Okay, once we get the element number, we must link them to the 5 element, right? So in 悬空大卦, we don't just use 洛书 association. Okay, that doesn't mean that the element number 7 and 7 is Kan, means that the 5 element is water. Okay, so that's wrong. Okay, we use the 河图. We bring in 河图. Okay, so HER2 is something that we have been exposed to all this while for many years, but we don't really know how to use them. So this is one way. Okay, we use HER2 relationship, a different classical system. Why? Because number 5 got no trigram. Okay, so the earth element also not used in Shen Kong Da Gua date selection. So the system run on wood, fire, metal, water only, 4 element only. So second, we also need to connect the Tian Di Ren. Okay, we also need to connect to the Tian system, and the Tian system is the HER2 system. So let me show you. When we pull in all the classical models, this is called HER2. This is called Luo Su. This is called the Shen Tian Ba Gua. This is how they look like, right? Okay, so therefore, that's how we talk about 7, right? 7 kan gua. So now 7 here, fire. Okay, so if it's a 9, then it's metal. So if it's a 6, then it's water. So 1 and 6 is water, 4, 9 is metal, 2, 7 is fire, 3, 8 is wood. No 5, 10. No 5, 10. That's how you derive the number first. Then from the number, derive the 5 element. Clear, everyone? Don't get confused here, because you get confused here, everything go wrong. So, okay, later when we choose auspicious date, these element numbers will decide whether a date is suitable or not. Okay. Now, in case you're wondering why He-Tu, Luo-Su, earlier heavenly trigrams are the Tian Di Ren in Shen Kong Da Gua date selection. In Shen Kong Da Gua date selection, we always say Tian Di Ren. So the question is, why do we use He-Tu, Luo-Su, and earlier heavenly trigram? Very simple. First, He-Tu represent the heaven, the Tian, because He-Tu is the original number pattern of the universe. It tells us a very good balance, the natural laws before anything takes shape. So this is the heaven blueprint, the pure intention. Next, the Luo Su is the earth, the Di. So Luo Su is the number arrangement that controls movement, timing, flow in the physical world, which we talk about in the prediction, in the feng shui. Earth is about structure, space, formation. So Luo Su tells us how qi is moving in our environment and in the calendar. Finally, the earlier heaven Ba Gua represent human Ren. Why? Because earlier heaven shows us balance, neutrality, and the ideal state. But in this selection, we use it to align people, you and me, with heaven intention and earth timing. So human layer is about harmony, making the right choice at the right moment. So when we choose a date using Shen Kong Da Gua, we are basically aligning heaven intention, earth timing, and human action. So when all these 3 match nicely, that's when the result is the strongest. As I say, good to know the background, how you derive. But in actual application, you have these apps, you just throw out whatever is the correct one. All right, so now we move on to something also important in Shen Kong Da Gua, the period number. Although I say important, but to me, this is a bonus. Okay, it's also known as, the period number is also known as the Gua age. Timeliness. So in Shen Kong Da Gua, every hexagram is not just an element, it also has a time factor. We call this the period number. So when I say timing, means the timeliness. It tells us how matured or how active the energy of this hexagram is at the particular time. So now it's period 9. But if you look at this calendar here, it is 6, 1, 4, 3, not time. Only one is a future timeliness. Okay, the other 6, 4, 3 is not, it's already passed. Also inactive. But don't worry about whether it's active, inactive, because we still can use them. So by combining the element number with the period number, ideally, we can see not just what type of energy is present, but how strong it is and whether it is the right timing for our action. Okay, so for period number, how do we get this number? More chim. Okay, very chim. Okay, chim until sometimes I also don't know how to explain. Very simple. We compare the Yao lines of the upper trigram and the lower trigram. That means that we'll do some comparison between the upper trigram and the lower trigram. The lines are the 3 lines, compare with each, the 3 line on top and the 3 line bottom. Then with the comparison, then we'll find out that, okay, so what is that period number? I don't want to bog you down with all this. Okay, but basically, if you look closely, you find one pattern. Okay, you find one pattern. You find that if let's say top and bottom is the same, okay, it's the same. For example, top is three solid line, bottom is three solid line. Then this one is actually a kun gua. Okay, it's a kun gua. You look at this, this is a kun gua. So all these things is actually belonging to the kun gua. All these belonging to qian gua, so on, so forth. But I don't want to bog you down. So if it's a kun gua, then it's number 1. If the qian gua is number 9. So basically, this is how we learn last time. Okay, and then there are a few more. If you have this and this, you combine to become xun gua. Okay, and then if it's xun gua, then it's number 2. So period number is 2. You get my point? Okay. Now, how do we know xun gua is number 2, li gua is number 3, dui gua is number 4, and then go back to the luo su again? This is the rest of the hexagram and category. When I say category, mean this one, the number. Okay, so once you confirm the trigram of your 悬空大卦, you can just check the number the same way you check the element number. That means go back to this chart and check the number. So for example, just now we talk about 巽卦, right? It's number 2. So if the combine is a 巽卦, then the period number is number 2. Like I said, don't confuse yourself. No need to remember this part here because the apps will already calculate everything for you. Okay. Now, when we talk about timeliness, actually there are 2 different types of timeliness table, right? So some of you may have already known about the Shen Kong Flying Star 180-year system, which is the left side table, the 3 cycle, 9 periods, or 三元九运. Okay, each period is 20 years, and then period 1 to 9, everyone quite familiar with that one, But for 悬空大卦, the structure is a bit different. Okay, we have 2 cycles, but only 2 cycles of 8 periods. That means look at the right side, 2 cycles of 8 periods. Okay. And the special thing is each period can be 18 years, can be 21 years, can be 24 years, can be 27 years, depending on which cycle trigram is in charge. This one also no need to know. Okay, so period 1 to 9, but when you add up everything, right, you still give you the 180 years. It's the same. Whether you use left system or right system, when you complete all the 9 period, it gives you 180 years or so. Okay, so right now we are in period 9. The fire energy, very active, very bright, very fast moving. So when you study the period number of a hexagram, you're basically checking, is the energy still fresh or not? Is it peaking already, or is it already faded? So from there, we can choose the best date to match your intention. Simple, powerful, but to me, it's a bonus. Okay, we have come to the end of module 3, unlocking the 8 trigram, the DNA of the 悬空大卦. So in this module, we have covered the core foundation, how the 8 trigrams actually form the DNA behind every hexagram. And if you understand this part well, later when we talk about element number, period number, even matching the hexagram to real life outcomes, everything becomes a lot clearer. So this module is really to build your internal compass first, so you won't get lost when reading 悬空大卦 charts later on.